Good day. For today's video, 6.1 Part 2, we will be working with the distributive property. Our essential question is, how do you multiply algebraic expressions? We have one vocabulary term for this video, which is the distributive property. The distributive property states that if you take A times B and A times C, your result is the same, AB plus AC. And AB stands for A times B, and AC stands for A times C. So we have an example here, 3 in parentheses x plus 5. So using the distributive property, we would multiply 3 times x, which is 3x, and 3 times 5, which is 15. And since this is an addition sign within my parentheses and all of my numbers are positives, my new expression is 3x plus 15. Now let's take a closer look with a few examples here. Our first example, -4 in parentheses x plus 3. Now, to start, I'm going to look at my -4, and that is what I am distributing within my parentheses, and by distributing it, I am multiplying. So I am taking -4 times each part within my parentheses, so -4 times x and -4 times 3. So -4 times x is a -4x, because this here, I do not have a value for x, and this shows me -4 times x. So now I will look at -4 times 3. So -4 times 3 is -12. And if we can recall from working with expressions when we were combining like terms, in an expression we represent this -12 by subtracting 12. So -4x minus 12 is our new simplified expression using the distributive property. Let's try another one of these. Example 2, we have 1.5, and then in parentheses 2c minus 6. So again, using that distributive property, we are going to multiply what is outside of the parentheses times what we have within the parentheses. So 1.5 times 2c. So that's 1.5 times 2. 1.5 times 2 is 3. So 3c. And then we're going to multiply again, 1.5 times 6. 1.5 times 6 is 9. And because I am subtracting within my parentheses, I will be subtracting in my new expression. Again, this is simply because this first 1.5 does not have a negative. It's not a negative number. And because of that, that is why we carry this subtraction sign in my parentheses down into my new expression here. So it is 3c minus 9. And notice how I got it. I used multiplication, 1.5 times 2 and 1.5 times 6. Now example 3, slightly harder, but certainly achievable. We have -3/5 is outside of our parentheses, and we are multiplying that times 4x and then times 2. So 3/5. If we're working with fractions and they're benchmark fractions and we know, well, hey, this fraction is this as a decimal, then certainly go ahead and use that decimal representation. So if I know that 3/5 is 0.60 or 60 hundredths or 6 tenths. So I am going to use the decimal representation. So I'm going to take 4.0 times 0.6. Zero, zero, zero. Place my decimal point. 2.4. Now, if we take note, we're multiplying a negative times a positive. This is actually a negative. So that makes my product or my answer a negative. So negative 2.4x. Now the next thing I need to do is multiply negative 3/5 times 2. So I'm going to take 2.0 times 3/5 or 6 tenths, and it is a negative. And place my decimal point correctly, 1.2, and it is a negative since I am multiplying times a negative 6 tenths. So because this is a negative 1.2, I show that it is a negative in my new expression by subtracting 1.2. So my new expression is negative 2 4/10 x minus 1 2/10. Try these three your turn on your own. And remember, if you have any questions, mark them down and we will discuss them in class.